Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 37 in our Oxygen Not Included Redux series. I just want to briefly show the final changes I made to our system here. We're now getting water consistently coming out on under 20 degrees. I added in a third aqua tuner so that the temperature here we can delete 42 degrees all at one go if we need to. So we're starting here 46. Coolant's coming out at 8 degrees. So it's coming in at 50 because it picks up the heat from the turbines. This is set up with 3 aqua tuners and 4 steam turbines is running. It's running at max because we have all the water coming in we can. It's all the heat that's coming through. It is just enough to keep up with it. If we were to put in any more heat into this system, it would push us over 200 degrees and we would need another steam turbine. And we could do that if we needed to, but we don't. This is working good. We're letting it go. So if we go to the top of our world, to our water system, we can see we mostly have all this water back to a reasonable temperature. It's going to keep cooling down because of the coolant loop plus the cold water coming in. And then finally, I have this water cycling through our rockets again, only the ones that I have set up to do it. But if we go into Kalpana and we look at the temperatures in here, where this water flowing through while it's sitting here is picking up enough of the heat to cool the rocket back down. So when it comes back and it sits here, it cools down enough to keep everything done. So this stuff builds up heat in here while we're out in space, and then when we come back, it cools it down. I wanted to show a couple other little things I did to just work on some other things in between here. It was mostly to do with Gorgani. So let's come up here. We had the salt water, we had that capped off because we weren't using it. So what I did is I made a little system here that uses it. So we have, right now we don't have any coming in because it's not active, but when it is active, the salt water comes down here, it picks up the heat from our incubators here, and then it desalinates it. And it picks up the heat specifically because I need the water to be above 0 degrees, because if it goes in here minus 0 degrees, water comes out below 0 degrees, and then it breaks the pipe. So picks up just enough heat to warm it up. If we probably, it's not going to be long term because these don't run enough to give us enough heat in the long term, but I'm going to wait and see. If that's not enough, what I'll do is I'll put a tepidizer up above and have like a preheater. So basically the pipe will just, when it comes out of the pump, it'll go through and there'll be a water basin in there with a sensor, and if the water is below 0 degrees, it'll turn on the tepidizer and heat it back up. Probably set it like 10 degrees, just so it has just enough heat to pick up enough that it doesn't break this. But for now, we're gonna let it go and see. I also installed 6 liquid reservoirs here. These hold water, so when this is not pumping out water, these hold water so that we have enough water for our bathrooms. And so the water comes out of here, goes to the bathrooms, and then it feeds out down here. Though I think that I don't think I'm actually going to need to have water coming out here. I think this is just for our bathrooms. I'm not using water anywhere else on the map at the moment, but I'm still working on that. This other piping that I did here is because I wanted to bring in some oil over to the Gorgani side of the map, because we were trying to build some liquid locks and we need oil for it. And also I want to heat up this room so that I can bring some slicksters over and start working on them. The goal is that if I can heat this room up enough that they will maintain and produce oil for me, I can start bringing in the hot carbon dioxide from this vent to keep them supplied. So the oil we're bringing over is very warm from our oil supply on the main colony. It's going to come in here. It'll heat this room up a little bit. And it'll also, I'm going to fill it up till it's probably like 1 tile thick the whole way across the bottom. And that way I have a reserve of crude oil to use. And I can use that to do these liquid locks so that I can build this cobalt tamer. And there are several other volcanoes I want to set tamers up for on here. I might use them, mostly I'm just doing it for the metals, but I might actually use that heat to heat this colony up a little bit, because this colony is not super hot. It's got a lot of coolness, though it's starting to warm up because of different things. So we may or may not do that. We'll see. But that was all just things I did in between. Oh, last thing, I am setting up a conveyor rail here. And what that is for is I'm going to have a loader here. It's going to pick up the pokey shells, move them down here, drop them off, and then there's a sweeper here that is going to pick them up, put them in here. Because we're still shipping them all off to the main colony, but right now we have duplicants running back and forth every time we get a pokey shell, and it's a waste of their efforts. So we're setting up an automation for that. We'll be able to, in that way, we'll be able to also, anytime we want to ship anything off, we can just turn it on up there and here, and it will automatically ship it out. So that is just stuff I've done in between episodes. What I actually want to work on today is I'm finishing up this rocket. It's actually ready to go. I'm going to send this over to Mumial and get started over there. I loaded up 20 tons of steel and 20 tons of glass. I have tons of building material here to go over there and start working on a colony. Our pilot for the Kalpana is Garfield, and I'm just checking out his skills. He has rocketry, he has critter ranching, because we're going to be working with the gassy moves, and he has super duper hard digging. I don't know that he needs any other skills. I also don't want to give anything to him at first until we see how his morale is going to be affected by living on the rocket. But the goal is to send the rocket over and have him stay there and live out of it while he's doing work. So let's get this rocket destination changed. Oops. We want to be moving him over. This is Mumial to orbit in Mumial. This is the first time we have used this rocket that has the interior where we have the Atmos suit, and it worked great. He came in, took his suit off, and went and did his things. He's idle. He doesn't have any tasks, so he just kind of stood around, but he did his thing. So he's all set to head out. My only concern once we get to Mumial is that if he's going to be there for an extended period of time, I'm not sure how long his water supply is going to last, but we can always bring him back home to reload if we need to. Let's check out. This says warnings. Yeah, I don't have any cargo loaded into our things. That's fine. That is for our cargo deployment system. I'm not going to be using that anyway, so I don't care that these are empty. So this is ready to go. It's going to take a few cycles for him to get over to Mumial, but let's go there. Take a look. We still have our rocket pad that we built, and then we had left because we didn't have anything to do with setting that up. We have... Let's refresh our memories on what we have here. So this is a chlorine gas vent. Not super interesting to us. We have a lot of liquid chlorine here that we're going to have to deal with. So probably one of the first things we're going to set up is some kind of filtration system to deal with the gases here. And then we'll work on exploring a little bit and figuring out if there's a way to build a self-sustaining oxygen system here, or if we're just going to have him living in his suit. But our primary goal is just to get this built so we can get gassy moves into this system, and then we can tame them, because if we do, that's going to finish off 2 of our final 3 achievements. While we are waiting for our rocket to make it over to Mumial so we can get started there, I have cleared out pretty much everything in this rocket here. And the reason I did that is because I want to take this new design and we're going to copy it. And we're going to put it in that rocket. And I specifically... Oh, I hate how it does that. Why is it not show it to me? There we go. I installed the blueprint mod specifically so that I could do this without having to manually copy everything over. So this is going to be exactly the same as the setup we have in this rocket as well as our new rocket. So we're just going to build it and we're going to see how that goes and see if it works the way I expect it to. And if it does, then that's great, and we will do it for the other rockets as well. But I have a concern that I think I'm going to have to remove the comfy bed. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to do that now, because I'm going to need a ladder here to get that pipe installed. And so we'll let that go, and we can have our duplicants coming in here to do the work. I'm going to disable the checkpoint because otherwise they won't be able to come in to do any work. But this is going to take a while. We'll let that build while we're working over Mumial. Rocket's taking its time getting over here, but we got 2.1 cycles till it arrives. And once we do, we'll get started on working on Mumial. So our rocket's landed and we have a bit of a problem. I guess when I built these ladders, I didn't build it up enough that he can get out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the hydrogen engine and then replace it after we get the ladders rebuilt. I think it shouldn't be a problem. Because the hydrogen engine doesn't hold the fuel. So now we can build the things that we need to here. He can still get in and out. I do need to get a ladder built back up and then we'll replace it. But we're here and he can get in and out. He can start doing some work and building up this area the way we want it to be. I think everything will work out now that we're, yeah, okay, good. He can get back inside. So we want to make this a priority so he does it as soon as he comes out. That way we can start rebuilding the rocket. We have lots of things around here to unpack and stuff too that we had dropped off the last time, but mainly our goal is to get this stable built, get a gassy moo in there, and go from there. The rest of the things we do in this colony is kind of just some, you know, interesting things to do, but as far as towards the achievements, all we need is this. I've started to get some things set up here on Mumial. What I'm trying to do is get gassy moos down in here where we can tame them. The other thing I'm working on is getting the gas grass working. It says it needs 500 grams of cyclochlorine. Well, first things first, our duplicant is going to remove these window tiles above here, and we're going to put in the airborne critter bait so that they'll fly in here, and then hopefully we'll be able to trap them inside. I'm not sure how else to do it, because it can't trap them with any other devices, as far as I know. Critter traps. I wonder if that would work if I put it down. I don't have the plastic for it anyway, so it's not the moot point. Let's see, where's Garfield at? What you doing, bud? Are you not able? For some reason he didn't put his suit back on. Oh, it's a worn Atmos suit. I didn't think about the fact that I would need to be able to repair the Atmos suits. So he's stuck inside here. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to figure that part out, but I think that means we're kind of stuck in the water here. there's not much we can do with him here, so let's send him back to our main colony, and then we will try this again. As you can see, I've run about 100 cycles through testing out the Spacefarer modules, and I've run into a lot more problems than just my Atmos suits running out. This is a good example. This is one of my other rockets that are just based on the planet, and what's happening is duplicants will come in and they will go inside, and then since there's either we run out of oxygen or there's no, the suit doesn't get put into the atmosuit dock, and then they get trapped inside. I had 2 duplicants trapped inside this rocket, and they couldn't get out, and so they just stayed in here until they ran out of water or they ran out of other things, and they started having problems. Let's take a look at some of the other ones. This one, I had an issue with this. I did realize something that was pretty important. I thought that I needed to have the battery in here to keep the power going. Once I have this power outlet fitting in place, let's look at this rocket to demonstrate it. The power is still running fine because this is pulling power from the battery that we have on our outside of our rocket. And so we don't need to have a battery inside the rocket. And so that was just taking up space and generating heat that I didn't need to deal with. So that in the new design is going to be removed. So this is another good example. So this atmosuit checkpoint is set to vacancy only. You can see there's a worn atmosuit here. So one of our duplicants came in and then dropped off an atmosuit, but it was worn, so it got put here, and now I can't leave. He's stuck in here, even though the door's open. So I need to come up with a better way to handle this. I'm thinking that what I'm going to do is possibly have it set up so that this is not here, and just have the atmosuit dock, so I can have storage to take an atmosuit and fill it. And then in here I have I don't at the moment, but I will have the ability to put in extra atmosuits in storage so that they can use them up while they're in space. And then we'll bring them back, we'll repair them all. That's might be how I handle it. I'm not sure. I still like having the checkpoint because that way they come in and out. Having suits in here would also fix this problem because he would be able to deliver a suit to it when I need him to, and everything would be good. I don't know how to make it so that this will automatically pull a suit out if it needs one. That might be something I could look into, but I also think I can redesign this filter so to take up as much space, but honestly, it's just using dead space at the above in the bathroom here. A couple other things I want to redesign is that with the oxalate being here where it's at, what happens is whenever there is carbon dioxide that's sitting on the floor, if it doesn't get pumped up and it hits this tile instead, because it's such a tiny amount of carbon dioxide, the oxalate is able to come out and replace that tile with oxygen. So in the long term, if you look, the amount of oxygen in this room is 189 kilograms, which means that our duplicants are getting the popped eardrums debuff, which gives them an extra 20% stress per cycle. So that's something we need to address. Also, I was doing testing and I learned that these ports being open is what causes them to get such a large dose of radiation. So they get more radiation when they're standing in this tile and in this tile. And with this design, the radiation is hitting them a lot more because they're designed to be underneath it. So I don't know if I want to build something to block that radiation a little bit, or if I want to try to reposition the items inside for our design so that they're not standing underneath high radiation spots. But either way, I want to change some things up to change my design so that they aren't getting as much radiation. I may actually be able to get it down to the point where they don't even need to have the radiation pills, which would be really nice. So I have a lot to rethink and redesign for this rocket, and I'm going to work on that now. I'm still in the process of doing the redesign here on our Spacefarer module, but I wanted to show you some of the progress. One thing I have done, I'm going to pause this so we can go through it slowly, is I have gotten the rooms. So this washroom is down here. We'll go through one room at a time, and it's the minimum size. So I have the wall toilet, the hand sanitizer, and then I have a space in the middle where I can put in a storage bin, which I'll probably do right now. And that will maximize the space for this. As far as the plumbing goes, still comes in, it loops through, goes around as much as it can, it does a little cooling loop here, and then it goes up. And here, it prioritizes going down here, fills this line up, and then it goes back out. And what that does is it makes it so that we can cycle this while the rocket is on land, and when it's landed at a colony. Other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the building restrictions to grounded. That way these buildings don't get used while the rocket's landed. I just learned about that. It's pretty cool. So that solves our bathroom problem. The other thing I changed out here is I was having issues when I had it so that a pipe went into each one and out of each one, that the lines wouldn't stay full. So now water comes in, it does its thing cycling through the rocket, and then it comes back out and continues to the next rocket. This one needs to be changed now that we've built all the pipes. And so then it'll go in, it'll come back out. Though that might be an issue right now because I don't think I have a way for it to come out through this one. So let's... I think that's why I had this bypassing for the time being. So I'll just set that up for the rockets that are actually using the water right now. Once we get them built, we'll turn that back on. That's how I want it. There we go. So that means water will come in, it'll go through, and it'll cycle through this rocket, then it'll go through and cycle through this rocket, this rocket, this rocket, this rocket. Only time that'll be a problem is if I have 5 that just returned and they're all very hot. It'll take a long time to cool the last one, but I don't expect that to be a big issue, and I'm not super concerned about the heat anyway. It was just a nice little add-on feature. So if we go back in here, let's look at our next room, and I'm making some changes to it right now. So it's going to take a second to see the bonuses, but this room, originally I was going to try to make this a luxury barracks, because a luxury barracks needs the comfy bed, and it needs 12 tiles and a decor item, and we had all that, but then I realized for it to be a luxury barracks over a barracks, it has to have a height of 4 tiles. And I just don't have the space to do that in the design I'm doing. So I'm going to pull out the comfy bed. I'm going to put in a cot. And then I don't have to worry about having the decor item. And so everything will be great up there. Theoretically, I guess I could put 2 of them in, but what I'm going to actually do is leave 1 cot, and then I'll have space for storage, because I don't have a lot of storage at the moment. We're going to lose 1 point of morale from a luxury barracks, go down to a barracks. But we're going to turn this from a mess hall into a great hall. And so from the mess hall to the great hall, we get 3 extra morale. So it's worth it cramming the bedroom into a tight space so that we can get a bigger bonus from the great hall. Because we have everything we need in here to get it. The party phone gives us the recreational building. The painting will give us the decor item. We'll have it at exactly 32 tiles when we're finished, and we don't have any industrial machinery because we have crammed the gas pump into the corner here. The thing I really like about that is, A, that pushes this atmosuit checkpoint in a little bit. And I think I was having issues where they were sometimes crossing over that threshold and having problems. Secondly, there's now a door here. thing that's nice about this door is I can set, if I have this door set on auto, then I can use access permissions for this door. So if I decide later on, hey, I just want the astronauts assigned to it to go in, I don't have to rely on the checks, the atmosuit dock to prevent anybody else from coming in when they're in here. I can actually restrict it so only that person is allowed inside each rocket. So that's a bonus. What I still need to do is finish up what I'm building here for this, and then I have to find a way to get my piping in from this gas pump to go into the filter that I want to put in, and then have it filter gas out and filter gas in. The last thing I want to talk about with that is that instead of using the oxalate, because I was having so much trouble with it, what I'm doing now is on the rocket, I have installed a large gas tank. Inside the rocket, I put in a gas output and a gas intake fitting. So the gas intake fitting allows gas to be pumped into the rocket storage via pipes. So this pump is going to pull oxygen out of the room. It's going to pump it through a filter, and the oxygen is going to go through here into our rocket oxygen storage. This one is going to bring oxygen out. And so that way we'll have filtered gas. So there's no way we're going to have anything else in it. It's just oxygen coming from storage. And it's going to go, and it's going to first fill up this, and then there'll be a vent to vent oxygen into the room. And that should make it so that we have oxygen. We don't have oxalate creating it, so we don't end up with this overpressurized environment. And that means that we'll be able to pull, we'll keep the gases at the right pressure, because we'll just have a regular gas vent in here, and it won't put any gas into the room unless if it is overpressurized, it stops at 2K. So we won't have this situation where we get the popped eardrums. So it fixes all my problems. And then the way that we're going to keep the rocket full of oxygen is that I have run gas pipe intake here. We're going to run this line to go up directly into here. In fact, I'll do that right now so that that can start filling. Actually, no, I want to wait until I get the filters done so I know this line's not going to interfere with those. But so when the rocket is docked on the colony, if we look out here, I have run a gas pipe from our oxygen line that comes up and keeps this full. So it'll fill this tank up with oxygen, because it's going to come into the room, it's going to feed through the room to the intake for this, and we're going to fill this up with oxygen. And so every time we land, we're going to not only be filling our oxygen in a liquid form for our oxidizer and our fuel, we're also going to fill up 11,000 kilograms of oxygen that we can use to keep the rocket filled with oxygen. That should last us a very long time. And when we get other planetoids finished where they're creating oxygen, we can set up another pipe to refill them while they're there. And so it'll be best of both worlds. Now, that does mean that we're going to have limited space on here, but we're slowly removing some things that we don't need. We'll have to work it out for some of them. It'll be a little more complicated, but for this one, we're going to get it done. I believe I have managed to squeeze in every little bit of things that I want into this setup. So let's go through them again. We saw the bathroom. That's still the same. So if we look here, we have a washroom, which gives us +2. So we have the most we can get there, because the washroom is +2. Latrine would only be +1. So we get this bonus over this one because we have a flushing toilet, which is the wall toilet, and a plumbed wash station, which the hand sanitizer counts as. It's the minimum size it can be, maximum morale for the space. Our barracks, we opted to go with the barracks because we didn't have enough height to fit in a luxury barracks, which would have given us an extra +1. But by making it a smaller barracks, it gave us some extra storage space, and it also gave us enough room to do the Great Hall. The Great Hall gives us +6 morale. So with the space we have, this is about the best we could do. Now, I did lose 6 tiles up here, and I'll show you why. It's because that blocks most of the radiation that's coming in. So the worst spots are right here and right here. They get 53 rads per cycle, 57 rads per cycle. But that is enough. That is low enough that they will lose it just by going to the bathroom. So I don't have to worry about radiation pills. So our plumbing, let's look at our plumbing. It works out really well. We're able to maximize the space that we can fit the piping in. And again, it goes out and it cycles through. So while it's docked, we are rotating water through and picking up some heat. So it's keeping it nice and cold inside of our rocket so that while it's out in space and it picks up more heat from just duplicant being in here and doing things, we will be able to cool it right back down when we go back to being docked on the main colony. And then when it's not docked, the water will fill up and it will go down here and we'll get the maximum length of water to keep our bathroom running as long as possible. We'll run out of other things before we run out of water. Okay. Then we have our ventilation. Now this is a kind of a mess, but... Oh, and I need to get a couple other things set up here. This tile can be deleted. But, so, we have a couple of things going on here. Oxygen, when we're docked, comes in here, goes across here, and up to here, and it'll connect here. For now, I don't have it connected because I have so much oxygen that built up from the oxalate in here that I'm trying to get rid of it. Oh, I accidentally pulled out some pipes that I don't need. That's actually how I need it. Okay. So we have oxygen coming from, when it's not docked, we have oxygen coming in from here that goes across to the filter. The filter sends any carbon dioxide or any other gases that are in here that aren't oxygen out, and it sends oxygen up this way into our storage. Let's prioritize everything as a 9 in here. Get it all done. So that means that this is going to pull oxygen out of the room and put it into storage to cycle it. And we'll have this pipe here will be pulling oxygen out and putting it down this way. And that's what we have to connect here. I had a regular gas pump in here pulling some of the gas out, and I decided to just let this go with the mini gas pump, but I pulled off the wrong pipes when we did that. So let's increase the priority on that one too. I just want to get it all running so we can see it. But so this pump will pump gas into the filter. Filter will send the oxygen up. Oxygen will go into our storage tank on the rocket. Oxygen will come out from here. It'll come down, it'll jump across here. It'll fill up our oxygen suit first. And then once that's full, it will send oxygen through this pipe up here, and out through the gas vent. And the gas vent will let the gas out if we are under pressure. Right now, we're way over pressure, 190 kilograms per tile. We have 67 tiles inside this rocket. So if we do the math there, that means we have 13,199 kilograms of oxygen inside this rocket right now, which is a ton. But if we look at our storage here, we still have about 9,000 kilograms of storage space. So over the course of time, inside here will slowly be pulling all the oxygen out and putting it in there, and it'll fill itself up. And then we will have our rocket exactly how we want it. Once we get to that point, then we'll connect the ground storage to put in oxygen from the main colony. But that'll take a while for this pump to finish doing its job. So now we have +1, +2, +6. That's 9 morale from that. And our decor is pretty good. We don't have any big problems in here. So we'll get a lot of boosted morale even while we're off in space doing our thing. Which means we can enable this building so that the duplicant will have the suit on, or will come in with a suit. He'll take the suit off. He'll be in here without it, and then he'll leave by putting the suit on. I still have to test that a little bit because of just the way it's lined up, but it should work. They eat down here, sleep up here, they control the rocket. Everything is good. So I think that we should be good to get this rocket turned on and ready to go into space. We can send it back over to Mumial. The last thing I have to do before I do that is we're going to remove this ladder. And we're going to put in a storage bin here, and we're going to fill it up with Atmos suits, so that as we're working in the colony, the duplicant uses up Atmos suits, we will be able to restock this. That way they don't get trapped inside the rocket like we did on our last trip. So I'm going to get that put in, and we'll get our pilot in here, and we will get this ready to launch, send it over to Mumial, and we will meet up back there. So I ran a couple of cycles with Garfield in the rocket before I took off, just to make sure everything was working good, and it's working fantastically. So if we look at Garfield, his morale is currently 38. So he got plus 12 for the decor in the rocket. He got plus 12 for eating a great meal with the berry sludge. 6 from the Great Hall. 3 because he has a 4-shift break. 2 from the washroom. 1 just for being a duplicant. 1 for sleeping in a barracks. And 1 less anxious comes from using the party line phone. So with that level of morale, that means that we have a ton of space to give him extra skills if we need anything while he's out on Mumial. So I feel very confident in being able to send him off. So we're going to launch the rocket. I was hoping to get to doing some more work on Mumial in this episode, but we're already way past the time that I wanted this episode to be. And so we're going to call it here today, and we're going to come back in the next episode and start doing some work over on Mumial. So he has everything he needs to get done over there. Lots and lots of oxygen, lots of food, and we'll be able to stay there until we get done what we need to get done. So I hope you enjoyed watching the episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.